Time to learn what is on the dark side of death. It is a book written by a Delaware law enforcer who has seen his share of criminality, and much of which explodes in a book about politics, about law, about revenge. Well, let's meet him. S.T.Phillips joins us, the author of The Dark Side of Death. What is the dark side of death?
Well, the dark side of death is, I guess, best described as most people would like to live to be 100 years old and die in their beds, or as my father used to say, he wanted to be 99 and shot by a jealous husband. But as a police officer, I saw a lot of people that unfortunately were killed and maimed in extraordinary ways: shootings, stabbings, explosions, car crashes. And to me, that's the dark side of death, anything that's unnatural.
So we mentioned that you are a law enforcer, currently working with the Newcastle County Sheriff's Office. You're
Yes.
a deputy sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
You served as a detective for the Newcastle County Police Department. Mm-hmm. You were a SWAT team member, sniper operator, member of the FOP. Where in there were you developing the knack for writing books during all of this?
Well, I've always wanted to write a book. I've been a really voracious reader since I was a kid. And I thought one day I'm going to write a book. And even back when I was in detectives back in the 70s, I was talking to another detective and I said, I got this great idea for a book. Not this book as it turned out,
okay.
but, you know, and then it just developed from there. And then I just had this idea, and I was walking around the development with my wife, walking the dogs, and I kept bouncing these ideas off of her. And she said, you know, you should write that book. So I finally sat down and did that.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the plot. We don't want to give away too much.
Right.
Because I know that there's probably some twists and turns and thrills and surprises. And
a lot of those.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, we like those kind of things when
Yes.
we read books. So there's this guy, Jack Dublin. He's our hero.
Yes.
And what is he?
Well, he's Irish.
Okay. That's
Something you'll appreciate.
I am a bit myself.
Well, Jack Dublin is a Washington, D.C. police officer, and he's got his 20 in. He's pondering retirement. One night when he's off duty, he's going home and he's walking home, and he hears a woman scream. And he goes to investigate, and when he investigates, he finds a woman is about to be raped. He ends up shooting the rapist, who turns out to be the only son of a powerful United States senator, who's not real happy about it.
No.
And Jack was found innocent. You know, there was no wrongdoing. He was cleared of any wrongdoing. And the senator's not really happy about it, so Jack finally decides, I'm going to retire, I've had enough of this. So shortly after he retires, he gets set up as a fall guy for a murder that he did not commit. And so is the senator behind him? You know, that's the question. But somebody was working with the senator to help set him up, and now he knows who that is, and he has to find that guy to clear his name. And the murder that he was set up for involved terrorists and weapons of mass destruction. So now the FBI and the CIA are involved, and they're not sure what Jack's role in this is. So it becomes kind of like, I got to find this guy and clear my name, and I also got to stop the terrorists.
How did the political element get involved in writing this book? I mean, I know Delaware, they always say, you know, it's small enough that everyone knows everyone. But, you know, as a police officer, you'd think you didn't have much involvement in politics.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned earlier, I was with the FOP.
Well, there you go.
So there's a lot of politics involved in that. I mean, the FOP would endorse certain candidates. Usually we always endorse the wrong one. But we did endorse candidates, and we got involved in politics from that perspective.
Your boss is okay with you writing this book? Did you have to get permission?
No, I mean, he's a politician, but no, he didn't have any problem with it because he really wasn't aware of it. This book evolved over a series of years, and he's only been the sheriff for about 2 or 3 years now.
Okay, so this act of shooting someone, this was a police officer who caught someone actually doing something wrong and was cleared of it, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so the senator, is the father of this person, mm-hmm. tries to make this man's life miserable.
Exactly. Because he believes, well, it's an embarrassment for him. Here's a man who has aspirations to become president, and now all of a sudden his son's being portrayed as a rapist. And so he has to basically defend his son's honor by saying that this was the result of a rogue cop who was in the wrong. And so he's going to go about seeking revenge.
Who's your influence when it comes to writing?
I read a lot of Daniel Silva, David Baldacci, Vince Flynn, the late Vince Flynn, and Stuart Woods, and also Michael Connelly. I read a lot of him too. But I would say Daniel Silva is probably the biggest influence as far as my writing. It's more similar to him.
Now, you can get this right now, not in book form. You can download it on the Kindle if you have an Amazon Kindle. And tell us why that's the case right now.
Okay, well, Amazon, I basically made a deal with them where they had exclusivity for 90 days. So it's available on a Kindle, but it's not available anywhere else. The book version will be out in 2 weeks, and it'll be also available at Amazon.
Such is the life of an author in 2013.
Yes.
Are we going to have books in like 5 years?
That's a big question.
Do you read books off of a device? Or you like to hold them, don't you? And
I like to hold them.
Turn the pages. And
my kids gave me a Nook for Father's Day, and I just kind of pushed it aside for a while, and then finally, even though I may not appear to be someone who works out occasionally, but I found it a lot easier to have a Nook on the elliptical instead of having a book. But I do like the book.
I think you just sold some Nooks, although I think they're running into trouble. Maybe you just sold some ellipticals too.
Yeah.
But you really want to sell books.
I want to sell Kindles.
Scott Phillips, the author of The Dark Side of Death. You can get it on Amazon Kindles. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Matt.
That's Delaware Perspectives, and thank you for being with us.